All right, good afternoon. I've got 2:19, but everybody seems ready, so let's go ahead and get started. Noticed a couple of you stayed from the last presentation. Comfortable chairs? Comfortable chairs, yeah. It's kind of that time of day during a trade show. All right, well, hopefully I can teach you something. What we're going to talk about today is package prototyping and proofing. There's a lot of new solutions out there that I think offer some new options versus what's traditionally been available. And what we've found, I guess I should introduce myself, I didn't do that. I'm Andrew Oransky. I work for a company called Roland. We're involved in a number of different related industries. We've actually got a booth over here, but I'm not here to sell. What we found in this industry, packaging design, is that customers have a real need to deliver proofs that are not only color accurate, which is a problem that's pretty well solved at this point. There's a lot of good solutions out there, but what's been more difficult is to be able to deliver proofs and prototypes that actually maintain the look and feel of a finished product. So a shrink wrap, a shrink tube that's actually printed on shrink material and can be shrunk to a bottle, a folding carton that's printed on the final stock that it will be folded out of, a label that's printed on a PE or PET or other type of synthetic material that will ultimately be applied, and the ability to recreate special features like spot varnishes and die cuts. And this is particularly applicable in a lot of your luxury packaging areas or in label printing, where die cutting is obviously a crucial part of the finishing process. So we also want to be able to deliver prototypes, and packaging producers and designers want to be able to deliver prototypes that, as I mentioned, are created from the same material that will be used on the press. So ultimately you want to put something into the customer's hands that is not a paper facsimile of your design or of your finished produced product, but is the right material and maintains the functional attributes that the finished products will have. And so when brand owners who might be working with you on their packaging want to do pre-production work, and they want to be able to do shelf mock-ups and photo shoots and marketing samples or test market pieces, they want to deliver something that is going to look and feel like the finished product. Those print buyers are also looking for options. So when we talk about those marketing samples, when we talk about shelf mock-ups, they want to be able to do design iterations and put them in front of focus groups. They want more colors, they want different material choices, lots of different finishing options, gloss, matte, folded in different places, sealed differently. And ultimately you want a technology that can allow you to take a basic die line, as we've shown here, and deliver it to the print buyer or the packaging buyer in the full range of options that they may be looking for. Whether it's changes in texture, whether it's changes in finish, whether it's changes in substrate, maybe going from an uncoated stock to a coated stock to a metallic stock and checking your design in each of those variations. Being able to deliver a technology that can actually do that is a fairly new phenomenon. And so what's the opportunity here? For customers, for when you're working, whether you're doing design work, whether you're doing production work, depending on what part of the value chain you fall in, what it allows you to do is stay involved as someone who can produce prototypes, as someone who can deliver these products. You actually can get involved in the design process earlier with large brand owning companies, and you can stay involved in that design process longer up to the last step. So you're not handing it off between multiple subcontractors. The ability to deliver multiple iterations quickly and easily, as I demonstrated in the last slide, and it puts you in a position as a producer of not necessarily waiting for the bid. We all find ourselves very often in that situation of you've got a lockdown design, you've got a specified material, you might even have an ink set specified in, finishing techniques, everything's done, and then finally what happens is a large brand owner says, okay, now I need 100 million of these, who's got the best price? And you're in at the last minute, you're trying to get the bid, it's a difficult process, and it really all comes down to that per piece number, right? What this allows you to do, if you're involved early, if you're part of the design process, if you're delivering to the designers and helping them make the decisions about substrate, helping them make the decisions about colors, it makes you the incumbent. It makes you the obvious choice. It's not about putting it out to bid. It's not about that half a penny per carton. It's about who's the partner that got me to that design that I'm going to put into the marketplace. Puts you in a much more powerful position. You know, it also allows the producers to upsell and add features to that package that you might not have otherwise had the opportunity to build for. Okay, so again, finalized, spec'd out package design gets delivered to you. You don't have the chance to say, hey, you know what? A gloss hit would look really good here. You know, and that's something you're going to be able to build for. It's something you're going to be able to add value with. And there's now technology available that allows you to take the basic design and deliver iterations that, again, make you an asset in the design process and maybe offer features that your customers didn't even think of. And, you know, and finally, there's a very practical aspect to the whole thing, which is the way we're doing this now and the way it's been done till recently involves a lot of manual steps and a lot of waste. We tend to print on paper. We tend to mount, laminate, do things by hand. You're taking out your X-Acto knives and glue sticks, and really a lot of, particularly in the folding carton industry, a lot of the mock-up process really becomes, you know, and I don't mean to demean it in any way. I've seen beautiful, beautiful work done by hand, but it is, it's a bit of an arts and crafts project. It really is very time-consuming and very manual, and the potential is there to deliver something that is just a whole lot more automated and spend more of your day selling jobs and doing valuable design work and less of your day doing, you know, manually constructed mock-ups. So, you know, so that really kind of takes us to the difference between what is currently out there and some of the new technology that's available. What we've currently got, and what a lot of you may have in your shops, is a color managed workflow where you're working with software from GMG or CGS, Oransky Color Tuner. EFI is another popular choice, particularly if you're running you know, toner type color copiers for mockups, or you're running dedicated proofers. So you've got proprietary systems from Kodak or Fuji that allow you, you know, to do very, very color accurate proofs, but primarily on paper. And that is a big, big limitation of these, whether you're using, you know, something like a Kodak approval, or whether you're using, you know, an Epson or Hewlett-Packard-based proofing system that's built around an inkjet printer and a color-managed workflow. You're basically limited to printing on a pretty limited range of stocks. You're printing probably on paper or a couple of maybe specialized media that don't really match what you ultimately want to put through your press and through your converting line. Most of them can't print on metallic, they can't print on clear, they can't print on uncoated stock well, they can't do, you know, specialty materials, shrink film, okay, PET, things like that. And there's absolutely, that I'm aware of, on any of those dedicated, you know, current proofing systems, you really don't have the ability to do varnishing or cutting or other kinds of special effects like embossing or texture. So that we both ourselves and several of our competitors, you know, to be honest, we're not absolutely the only game in town. I happen to like our solution, but there's others out there. You know, we've adopted some new technologies to try and solve some of these problems. And the baseline, the thing that we really didn't want to lose was the ability to deliver color accuracy. This was really, really important, as I'm sure you can all imagine. You know, at the end of the day, look, if you're working for Coca-Cola, the red's got to be there, right? I mean, if you're working for any of these companies around here, you know, doing logo colors, you've got to have spot-on color reproduction, not only on your press, but on your proofing device. That's why you have a proofing device. So it was really crucial that we integrate to the same kinds of workflows that are common within the pre-press departments of our audience. And again, that's, you know, that's your GMG, CGS, and EFI. At the same time, what we wanted to add, and what we have added, is the ability to print on an enormous range of substrates. Clear materials, metallic materials, you know, polyethylene, polypropylene, PET, uncoated papers, which can be very, very difficult for traditional proofing systems, And the really neat thing, and some of the magic, if you will, about this is, keep walking away from the microphone, sorry about that, but some of the magic about this is that because we are using a really novel kind of curing system, which is LED lamps to cure inkjet inks. LED lamps cure, they use very, very low power, very, very low electricity consumption. Unlike the UV lamps that you might have on a flexo press or on an offset press, they operate at temperatures of about 100 degrees Fahrenheit, and they can plug into 110 volt outlet. Standard power configuration, you know, they use basically when they're running, you know, less wattage than an average hair dryer. What that allows is it allows, primarily because of the low temperature, it allows you to print to things that if you ran them through a typical UV inkjet machine that cures at 12 to 1500 degrees, they would shrink, they would warp, they would melt, they would distort. So you have the ability to actually take some of these very, very thin, very heat sensitive materials and print directly to them for one-offs, which is quite novel, which is not something that's existed for very long. And then additionally, a lot of the systems that are available out there will also add white ink as well as clear varnish, allowing you once again in a one-off situation to be able to accurately reproduce a lot of the effects that you'll ultimately be working with on press. And you know, I was talking to a shrink film supplier this morning who makes tubes, who you know, took a look at what we were doing and the ability to, you know, to reverse print white, and it's very unusual. There are a few devices out there that can do this with inkjet, but it's a very, very unusual feature that really only exists on the newest generation of machines from several suppliers at this point. And then finally, there are several systems out there that offer either cutting or scoring in line. So you can actually do complex die cuts for labels, you can do fold lines for cartons, all on the machine, literally one off, one up. So the workflow is it's pretty simple if you've done any kind of digital printing or prototyping. Basically what you're doing is you're starting with your color managed file, just as you would to go out to your plate maker, to go out to your current traditional proofer. You're going to send that out to a newer generation LED curing UV machine that allows you to do some of the things that I've been talking about. And what you're going to wind up with is press matched output that's ready to head to the customer. It's scored, it's cut, it's got the it's got the gloss hits. You can do gloss, you can do matte, and it's really ready to go as a finished sample. But you'll see that the complexity. You know, if you're in a business, if you're running a pre-press department and you're doing proofing and you're working with digital files, which of course you all are because everything's digital at this point, this is not radically different from what you're probably doing right now, but by putting a different box in the middle there, you're adding a lot of new capabilities. And so we've got a few minutes left here, and then we'll take some questions, but we talk about some real life examples, some companies that have implemented this type of technology and been fairly successful with it. The first one is a company called Flex Prepress. Now, Flex Prepress is, as you would expect from the name, they are primarily a prepress house. They do a lot of plate making for people, and they've gotten into prototype building as an outgrowth of their prepress business because they're doing the color management, they are creating the plates, and so they decided to take kind of a step back in the design process and offer some value to a lot of the same customers that they were creating plates and doing pre-press work for by offering a suite of prototyping services. And you know, when we talked to them, what they did is something quite novel, which is, since they can't talk about anybody that they're doing business with, as is the case, I'm sure, for many of you, your customer lists are confidential. Instead of using their customers' brands to sell their services, what they went and did is they really wanted to showcase the capabilities of this technology, and so they went ahead and actually created bags, they created folding cartons, they created labeled materials, they created heat seals, and so up in the corner there, what you've got is their demo package that they use to demonstrate this technology to their customers and to demonstrate the range of options that their customers have in terms of material choices and finishing techniques. that for a lot of the people doing highly specialized product, packaging with various materials, they can actually produce on most of those materials in one pass, and without a lot of manual work. So it's been quite a successful offering for them. The next one is a company by the name of White Graphics. They're out in Illinois. White Graphics also has been really specialized in package prototyping and short-run labels for many years now. They were using that workflow I talked about. They were the ones that actually kind of, I believe, first coined the term, at least when I heard it, as as these things being a bit of an arts and crafts project. And they were looking for a better way to do things. They do a ton of work for M&M Mars, and it's a pretty open relationship. They don't mind me talking about it, and they talk about it. And so what they're actually able to do at this point is you take a look at those M&M bags. Anybody eat M&Ms? I mean, somebody's got to admit to eating M&Ms. Thank you, Mike. Have you ever noticed, for those of you who eat M&Ms, that the 1 pound M&M bag, if you walk through the supermarket aisle, the design on that bag changes about every 6 weeks? Okay. So there's a Christmas M&M bag, there's an Easter M&M bag, there's a Halloween M&M bag, there's a Mother's Day M&M bag. If there's a holiday, Hallmark or otherwise, there's probably an M&M design for it. So they do a lot of work every year, and they go through a lot of iterations, showing those to people, getting sign-offs from VPs of marketing and all that sort of thing to make sure that they've got what they want. And it has been, up until very recently, extremely challenging using any traditional short-run printing process to actually make an M&M's bag. Okay, you can't print on that stuff using standard inkjet printing. You can't run it through your color copier. And so they were going through all kinds of complex transfer processes and doing wet things and trying to laminate to that material. And what they found using some of this new technology is that they could take that material that was ultimately going to run through a flex or a gravure press, and they could run it through an inkjet printer that would print them something that looked and felt and could be filled exactly like an M&M's bag. Hugely valuable. Finally, and I'm wrapping up here. According to my watch, I had a couple of minutes, but I'm wrapping up here. And this is a great one. So Callaway and I think it was Callaway and Nikon, so camera company, got together. There's a Nikon logo in the corner there. And they made a rangefinder for golfers. So this is this thing that you're standing on the fairway. I'm rarely standing on the fairway. I'm usually off in the weeds somewhere. But if you're standing on the fairway, you can take this little thing from Nikon and Callaway, and you can look down the fairway at the pin, and this device, it's got some optics in there, and it's going to tell you how far away the hole is. And in theory, you can pick your club. Consistent with my earlier comment about being in the weeds, it rarely matters what club I choose, but people who are really good at this tell me it matters. So it's a neat little device, and you've got two major brand names, right? You've got a Powerhouse Optics brand and a Powerhouse Golf brand getting together to co-market this device. And so Lava Partners, who happens to be down the street from us in Irvine, got the contract to design and produce this package. The great part of this story, the part of this story I really love, is two things. One, if you look at that bottom picture, every single one of those pieces, from the POP that's going to go in the golf store, to the brochure that's going to go into the sales rep's hands, to the boxes that are going to go on the shelf, every single one of those pieces came off the same machine. The Nikon colors are the colors they're supposed to be. The Callaway colors are what they're supposed to be. And you've got a combination of both a gloss and a matte finish on those pieces, replicating the effect of the press. So that's neat, number one. What was really interesting was the call that Lava got after they sent the flat pack out to Nikon, who happens to be in New York. They sent the package out to Nikon and they said, here's the package, please sign off on it. They had all their approval paperwork. And they got a frantic phone call from the brand manager at Nikon. He was very concerned. And the reason he was concerned was because he wanted to know why they had gone to production without a sign-off and without any permission. It was an accurate enough sample that he believed it had come off a press. There was a lot of explaining, which was done in fairly short order, and everybody was happy when it was done, but I think it says a lot about the capabilities of the system that even happened. So that's really it for my presentation. I hope you've gotten something useful out of it, and I'm happy to take a few questions in the minute or two we have left. Okay, well then thanks for your time. If you do want to visit us, we're right behind you over here at the Roland booth.